Welcome, all my business leaders and next level thinkers. I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening. My name's Terrell Curry. I'm the founder and managing partner at Infinite Business Strategies, and I'd like to thank you for joining our Let's Talk About It session. This evening, we're going to be discussing Let's Talk About It professional coaching. I'm very excited to have our guest this evening. I'm actually real excited to hear what she has to say because she is a professional in this subject. Not only is she a speaker and an author, but she's also a career strategist. I'd like to welcome to my audience Bernie Frazier. Miss Frazier, how are you
Thank
doing this
you.
evening?
I'm doing
Awesome.
great. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh, very good. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you. You know what? I have to ask you this question because I know you're extremely busy, but please tell me that you're able to enjoy this beautiful weather that we're having here in St. Louis.
Yes, although, I didn't really get out today. Today is probably my busiest day of the week. And so I was out literally for about 3 minutes and I stood out there and I went, you have to be kidding. Of all days to have this beautiful weather when I had so many meetings scheduled. And I went, well, when I scheduled those, I didn't know what the weatherman was saying. So I'll have to hopefully be able to catch up on another day.
Nah, that's okay. Listen, it's supposed to be that way all week. I'm sure you'll get to enjoy it. Speaking of which, I heard from a little birdie that you love local live music. What type of music you like?
Oh my gosh, I wonder who you heard that from. I don't know. I love jazz. I love jazz. And I'm an R&B girl. I like some of the old school R&B. I can take some of the new too, but I like some of the music from the 70s, the 80s, a little bit of the 90s as well. But yeah, I do like live local music.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's my type of music also. I'm looking forward to those cool early fall evenings where they might have an outdoor concert. So maybe if you hear about that, you let me know. I'm gonna join you with me and my wife.
That will work. Yeah, we certainly do have to find outdoors nowadays, don't we? Just trying to keep that social distancing going. That's definitely one of the things that I have missed with everything going on with COVID this year is being able to go to different venues and enjoy some of the local talent.
Awesome. But you know what? We adjust, right? Adjust and move forward.
Yeah,
I love it. I
that's right.
love it. You
We do
know,
what we have to
uh,
do.
speak, speaking of adjustment, I know around 10 years ago you adjusted yourself and you started your own business. You started a company called Career Compass. Career Compass, tell me a little bit about that. How'd you come up with that name?
Well, it's interesting. You're right. I did start, it'll be 10 years in January, and it's actually the second name. My business was originally, I was trying to do a play off of career and revolution to really help people revolutionize their career. So it was called Career Evolution. And after about 3 years or so, 3 or 4 years, I was doing some rebranding. And the coach that I was working with, we were talking about a name, and I said, I think I'd like to change the name too. And so, as she was asking me about, well, what do you do with clients and how do you help them? And I said, well, I really help them kind of navigate their path. And so she actually said, oh, career compass. And I went, I like that. That flows. And so the rest is history.
Great, great, great. It flows and it does flow. I mean, when you think about it, when people don't really know what their next level is or where to go, they kind of need something that's going to guide them. And that compass, that's a perfect tool to help show them which direction that they should go in. Very good,
Exactly.
very good.
Exactly.
So I heard you mention you had a coach, and I know that's part of our subject. And you know what? We've been talking this month about unlocking hidden potential, which kind
Yeah.
of led us to talk about professional coaching because I know my job is to unlock hidden potential in companies and individuals and in
Mhm.
organizations. And you found that as a possibility yourself also. You've been coaching for what, 20 years now?
Oh, actually, I think this is year 23. Yeah,
You're
yeah, it's
23.
been a while.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So coaching is just in you, right? What kind of made you decide that you wanted to be a coach? I know you said you were being coached, but what made you decide you wanted to be a
Yeah.
coach?
Well, it really started organically. I started my career in sales, and a year out of college, while in my sales job, they put me on a campus recruiting team. So that's where my recruiting background started, and did that for a number of years. I switched companies. I was still within the sales organization, but I was still doing campus recruiting. And when I started realizing the work I was doing wasn't necessarily where the path that I wanted my career to be on, I had to start asking myself some questions. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? You're too young to retire and you're not rich enough. So I had to figure it out. And I started realizing I liked recruiting. I liked the training work that I had been able to do. So over time, I was able to transition my career within my company, and that really started the coaching, because I had been there for a while, so people knew me. And then when I moved into HR, all of a sudden it was, Bernie, I need help with my resume. I'm trying to get this job inside. I need to help, some tips with interviewing and so forth. And it just started from there. I enjoyed it. I was able to help people. And I started finding I was spending evenings and weekends doing coaching. And, after doing that for so many years, I went, I love this, but people get paid to do this, and it's taken up a lot of my free time. And so, I did my due diligence and went on and pursued it. And I set my shingle out January of 2011.
That is incredible. That is incredible. So you formalize what you just love to do. You formalize your passion.
Exactly. And I had been searching for years. I knew I wanted to have my own business. But in your 20s, you're still trying to figure out who you are, let alone what you want to do. And so, I went through all of that period. And again, I think it just started to appear to me as I kept asking the questions and I was paying attention, trying to figure it out. And all of a sudden, it just started to evolve.
That's great. That's great. So it happened in your 20s. I tell people all the time when they talk about maturity, the first thing people think of is age. And maturity is more than that. It's how you respond to people, pressure, and problems. And you learned at an early age in your 20s that, hey, I'm going to take my passion and turn to something that I like. So one of the things that I was very impressed with is that you took that knowledge from a young age and all the experiences that you put together and you put it into a book and you wrote a book called Your Success is Your Mission. And that is right in line with our theme of untapped potential. So tell me a little bit about your book.
Yeah, well, actually, it's Your Success is in You. And then I have this long subtitle. It's Empowering and Equipping You to Create Your Best Career Ever. And it's funny. I did this process backwards, I think. Normally, people write a book and then they start speaking. I started speaking on this subject and then I wrote the book. I had started a number of books before, and I would get through, a chapter or two, and I'd go, no, this just isn't it. I'm not feeling this one, and I'd put it down, and then all of a sudden I'd get another idea. And when I started thinking about writing a book again, you go through this, okay, what am I going to write about? What do I have to say, and who do I have to say it to? And I thought about this talk because it had gotten rave reviews. There have been companies and organizations, I had done this talk multiple times, and I went, well, maybe this is the one. So I sat down, started trying to put together an outline to see, would I have enough to say? And the book just started to evolve from there.
Wow, wow. It sounds like you evolved your book just like you help others evolve their careers. You kind of start
Mhm.
at a high level and then get to that detail, right? So tell me a
Exactly.
little about your mission. I always say a person's mission statement tells a lot about them, right? And you said to help people overcome barriers to create success or to greater success.
To
What does
greater
that mean
success.
to you? What does your mission mean to you?
Well, it's funny, and it's even evolving, but it's one of the things that I started to see, and this was before I even started doing coaching, but was just doing recruiting, is I could see that, there were barriers in front of people, and a lot of times it was things that they could move. But it's hard to be objectives with ourselves, and we don't see our blind spots. And so my goal is to help people remove their barriers so that they can start to pursue bigger, better, stronger, faster, more powerful, and so all the other acronyms. I'm going back to Superman here, but it's really helping people to, some of it is in the mind, help them start to think through and move past some of the blocks that they have in their mind. And some of it is to help them, again, navigate their circumstance. Some people, they are dealing with some real circumstances, whether it's in their current company and they want to grow and they feel like they're being blocked for whatever reason. So I help them and we kind of talk through what's going on. And I will ask questions and I will, challenge notions and I will offer insights to help. And again, it's just to help them, kind of push through those barriers so that they can succeed in whatever path they want to take.
Wow, wow, what words of encouragement. That is great. That is great. In my experience, those best in class companies that we work with sometimes, they actually assign professional coaches to their director levels and above. And I found an
Mhm.
opportunity where it's not just for that executive team, it's all leadership, regardless of the level. So in your mind, why do you think professionals need coaching, regardless of what level they're?
Well, I think it applies, and this is whether it's career, business, life, or any other type of coaching. If you can't do it yourself, if you don't have the insights, the knowledge, then find someone who has that expertise that can help you. And it's really just that simple. I try to make things pretty simple and straightforward. And that's really it. Because when I think over the years, and I share this with clients, I say, listen, I've had different coaches over the years because when I realized I didn't have the capacity and the knowledge to do something, I needed to reach out to find someone who can help me. And so that's what I did. And I said, if you are stuck in your career, if you're stuck in your purpose, if you're stuck in your business, your life, you need somebody to help you. Start to figure that out. And sometimes it's breaking things apart to retool them or put them back together. And it's really just that simple. But I think a lot of times people struggle a lot longer than they have to because they're trying to force something to happen and they may not understand what the process is that they need to take to get past whatever obstacles there are to get to their goals.
Wow, wow. We always say at Infinite Business Strategies that you don't have to be the expert, you just have to know the expert, right?
There
But
you
I know when
go.
it comes to coaching, that could be a struggle sometimes, though, right? Have you had to coach someone in an industry that maybe is not within your expertise, but since you know leadership, you're able to apply your experiences and knowledge to help them get to their next level?
All the time. And there are some coaches, they do specialize in certain types of vocations. They specialize in different industries, and that has not been the case for me. I can tell you, I have coached scientists, I have coached attorneys, accountants, executives, recent graduates, salespeople, marketing people. And the thing that I have found, there may be certainly some industry nuances. I don't know, and I have to come up to speed on that. But for the most part, people are people and struggles don't change. And so, it's dealing with the same thing. Okay, you're in a different industry, but you're still struggling with this same issue that the last 50 clients have had. And so
Correct.
that doesn't change. And so I made a decision not to do that because, one of the things that I discovered, and a lot of people think, that executives, oh, this person's a C-suite or they're a senior this and a vice this. And I go, but a lot of them struggle with the same challenges you do. They just have a better face. But they will
Wow.
struggle with insecurities. They will struggle with confusion. They will struggle with doubt. They will struggle with uncertainty. The same way that someone who is much more junior in their career will struggle with. It may be a different level, but they will still have the same issues.
That is great, great, great advice. Great advice. So, what I hear you saying is that regardless of the level that they're on, there's always room for improvement. There's a next level they can and get to, but they just need a little push.
Well, and I think it's true. We all will be, improving until we take our last breath. So none of us will ever reach perfection, and that's just the reality of it. And anyone that tells me they've arrived, I'll tell them there's your imperfection. So, and we need to work on that. But yeah, it's true. There are always new things to learn. And everyone is in a different place, and one of the things that I've done, and I'll say with this particular talk that I do, the Your Success is in You talk, when I've done this talk for more of the what I will call leadership, let's say that director level and above, they have achieved a lot, particularly someone who's in that executive level, that C-suite. They have achieved probably a lot of career goals. So a question that I ask a lot of people is, what do you want? And I have found that probably 90% of the people cannot answer that question clearly and directly. And I've discovered that executives are the same way. Many of them, if they may be able to answer what do they want, but I'll say, but can you answer what do you want next? Because they've achieved a lot. And I'm thinking, well, you are probably going to work another 10 years, 15 years, maybe 20 years. So unless you want to stay exactly where you are right now, what do you want next? And then that's when they'll go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. And I go, yeah, you got to think about that. Very similar struggles, just at different levels.
Wow, wow. So they can have that vision without a path to get there.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
so
And
let me
they
ask
can
you this.
have a path too without a vision. So
Well, that's true. That's good. They don't know where they're going. Let's go.
don't know
Where?
where
I
they're
don't
going.
know.
Right,
Very
exactly.
good. So what do you say to that individual who maybe they're a business owner, a small business owner even, and they've started a business, but they don't really know what they don't know? Or you have that client or you have that company that maybe they don't have executive coaching for their leadership team. How do you convince them that this is the way to go? What's the value propositions that coaching can bring to those individuals?
Well, coaching can bring clarity a lot of times. And one of the things that I have seen is a lot of times when employees at various levels, if you see them starting to disengage, if you start to peel those layers back, a lot of times it's because they're frustrated, or as I always say, they're bored, burned out, or frustrated. And you can start to peel the layers back and figure out very quickly, a lot of times it's because they don't even know what they want. And so it's that, if you don't know what you want, how is anyone else going to know, and how is anyone else going to help you? Now, a lot of times executives may or may not be clear on that. It just depends. But I think for an organization, it's nowadays, especially, engagement is critical. And it's critical at all levels. You can acquire, but companies don't innovate to me the way they used to. And I think a lot of it has to do with people are kind of minimalist at work a lot of times. They're doing enough just to get by, but they're not necessarily being challenged and stretched to find out what is their real capability and capacity. And I think a lot of times, I know I run into this a lot with coaching. I have a lot of clients, they're bored at work, they're not challenged. And that's even at the higher levels. They don't feel like they are really being stretched. And so when people get bored, what do? We start checking out. And so, I can say you can run your company with a lot of checked out people, or you can start to find out what is going to engage them so that they will really show up and give you their best, which will help you innovate. It will help you create a competitive advantage. It will help you create a very positive work environment where your reputation starts to precede you. And then you don't have to be so desperate to find talent. People will be chasing your company down to work for you, and you can really start to pick the best of the best. And I think a lot of times companies, they don't see it that way. And it's, oh, well, I'm paying you, you should be able to do the job. Well, that's true, but you're not working with robots. And I think a lot of times organizations lose sight of that, is that people will give you enough. And is that what you want? Or do you want people to give you their excellence? And there's a difference.
Wow, wow. I think of some of my clients that struggle with talent retention, and I always tell them, are you the employer of choice? And what does that actually look like? And how do you get to that next level if you don't really have a clear vision of where you're going? So in Bernie's mind, in your mind, what does best in class look like? What does that organizational leadership have to do to make sure that they're getting the best from their entire organization, whether it's coaching or whether it's coming up with strategic plans?
Well, actually, I think that's a great question. And the first thing that I always think about is you have to have a vision. And, it sounds basic, but as I work with clients, when you do coaching, you hear things that people don't say in public. And they will tell you a lot of times, I don't know what I'm supposed to be focused on. They just have me doing a bunch of stuff. And I've had clients who have started new jobs and they have walked right out because they're like, I can't work here. So I think creating a clear vision is important, but not only a clear vision, but a positive vision, one that's going to challenge your organization and one that is defined in a way where everyone can see the role they play and the impact that they have. I don't care if it's the executive or if it's someone, try to say higher, lower, but you know what I mean from a
Mhm.
hierarchical standpoint. And I think everyone wants to feel like they are making a difference. They're having impact. And if people don't see that, then that's one of the challenges. So I think having a clear vision is important. I think another is giving employees room to do the job. And that will include stretching them. And that will include sometimes they're going to miss the mark. But that's how we learn. And I think companies they've become so afraid of empowering their employees that they're smothering people, and therefore they're smothering the talent. They're taking on more work that they need to do because they're too busy doing their employees' job. You hire smart people, let them do the job. If they make a mistake, you show them where and you help them correct. That's how we learn. That's how we learn as humans. And I think that's so important, empowering your employees at all levels in the organization. And not only that, that's a great succession planning approach. Because if people don't know how to do the next level job, you're not going to move them into it. So if the people in those roles leave, who's going to fill those roles? You don't have
Oh,
talent ready. So you've got to start to stretch and challenge your staff, and people are hungry for that. And I see it all the time. I think another important thing is listening. I think leaders oftentimes feel like they have to have all of the answers and they've got to drive all of the information. And it's not true. You are not the boots on the ground. Your people are. They know what's happening. And when you aren't listening to your people and they realize that, they will stop talking. Therefore, when things come up that are critical that you need to know, everyone's sitting there and it's crickets, and you want them to engage and they're going, why? You're not listening to us anyway. And I think that is so important. As leaders, you have to listen and pay attention to what your employees are saying, because they know the pulse of the organization. And if you're not in tune with the pulse will stop.
wow, wow, wow. Great golden nuggets. That is incredible. That is
Thank
incredible.
you.
I have a mentor of mine that always tells me to surround myself with truth tellers. And I know that when I've had professional coaches, one thing that I was the main point that I took away was they were my personal accountability partner. Do you find
Mhm.
yourself as a coach pushing accountability so that that person actually progresses?
Oh, absolutely. I've had clients where that was the primary reason why they hired me. They were like, I need someone to hold me accountable. And it's so important. That is powerful. And I know me, and some of it you have to know yourself. There's some people, they have enough of that drive and discipline that they can charge through. That's not reality for most of us. We get distracted, we get tired, we come up with all types of excuses. And then all of a sudden, what we were going to wait and do 2 days from now, you look up and it's been 2 years and you never did it. And so accountability is definitely one of the things that coaches bring. And I hold my clients accountable. I realize, life happens and it happens for every one of us. But I've had clients, they're like, oh my gosh, hadn't finished up my homework and I was up late because I knew we were meeting today. And I go, that's right, let's talk about it. And it's a powerful tool. I even share a lot of times, even in writing my book, I think that was how I got this. I think this was the eighth attempt to write a book and actually completed it because I have a girlfriend that we've been friends for about 30 years, and we've been accountable to each other over the years for different things. And when I decided I was going to write this book and I wanted to finish it, I let her know, and we started to meet just about every week. And most of the time, I think it was on Tuesdays, and we may have only missed 1 week. But I'm telling you, there were some Monday nights I was on that computer, I was banging it out because I knew I had to be at a certain point by the time I met with her that next day. And I had given myself a really aggressive goal. And as aggressive as my goal was, I really think because of that accountability, I finished everything and was 3 days, it was 3 days before my goal, and I was done. And so
Wow.
I tell people accountability is powerful. If it's something that you say you want to accomplish, then, put your accountability where your mouth is and have someone that will hold you accountable to it. And I always say, don't get the cream puff friend or family member that will go, oh, that's okay. I know your eyelashes were hurting. It's okay that you didn't get it done. No, you need that friend that's more of a taskmaster. They'll drive you crazy and they'll frustrate you all the way to success.
Wow, wow, this is incredible. I'm really enjoying this. I really am. So I tell you what, I don't want to keep you all night because I can talk to you all night. This is just incredible conversation. But let me ask you one last thing. If you had to
Yeah.
give some words of encouragement to that business owner, to that professional that's just trying to get to their next level, or even that organization that's kind of on the fence about whether or not they should provide coaching for their team, what encouragement would you give them to help them pull the trigger and actually help take themselves and their team to that next level?
Well, I think I would say just part of what you just said. If most companies don't want to shrink, they want to grow. And in order to grow, you have to have leaders, you have to have staff that are in a growth mindset. And if you find that there is conflict, if there's confusion, if there is a lack of that mindset that's needed and the unison of that mindset, and you have people who are maybe that diamond in the rough. We've all seen those people. You can tell, boy, there's a lot in there. They just need to be molded a little bit and polished and get some of those rough edges off. A lot of times that's what coaching can do. We don't come in and we don't do the work, but I've done that where I have coached clients within organizations. And it's not about me coaching them to leave. I'm not there to do that, but it's how do I help them transform their thinking? How do I help them transform their approach to their work, which is going to help them to deliver better results for the organization? And, just because someone gets promoted doesn't mean that they don't need help. And it's okay, but get people, if when you invest in your, remember that, and they invest in the organization more, it creates a lift in engagement, it creates a lift in performance, results, profitability, you name it.
Wow. More gold nuggets. You're dropping them everywhere. Well, Bernie, I'll tell you what, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on. We're going to have to talk more. Definitely, we're going to have to talk more.
Absolutely. I'd
So,
love
we're
to.
putting
Very
your
much.
links to your website and links for people to go and buy your book in our comments. And I'd like to thank all my listeners for joining us. Thank you, Bernie, for
Yes.
being here with us this evening. And if you have any questions, if you want to have a one-on-one coaching session, feel free to also go to infinitebusinessstrategies.com. At the bottom, you can
Mhm.
schedule a free coaching session. We can connect you directly to Bernie, or we can also talk about your next level and how to get you there. You can also join one of our workshops that we have for small businesses, or have us come out to your site to do a maturity assessment to see how you stack up, not just against yourself, but how you stack up against best in class. And best in class organizations have professional coaches. I'd like to thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks again, Bernie.
You're welcome. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.